let's take a look back at the 2025 MLB offseason, the free agent signings that happened, and give them a grade 1 year later. Let's see how these contracts look. Let's see how they played out. Let's see how they've aged and see how they did in their first year. Before we do, make sure you guys are subscribed on the YouTube channel. 10,000 subscribers are given away a signed MLB jersey, so make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss out on that. And James, without further ado, we got to start off with our big boy, number one, Juan Soto, 15 years, $765 million. Talk us through it. Tell us your grade.
It's funny because you said, let's see how these contracts aged. For a lot of these contracts, 1 year will make a big deal. For Soto's, it's even still hard to see because we got 14 years left, including the opt-out after year 5 that we can automatically void with $5 more million a year. But honestly, the way he played this year, I thought it would be really tough for the Mets to, field a competitive team. Their team was not competitive for other reasons, with one player taking up $50 million. And it worked out okay. The guy was one of the best players in baseball again, top 3 MVP, almost had a 40-40 season, most home runs of his career. There's really nothing to possibly say about Juan Soto.
Yeah, his contract is going to be impossible to rate until we get 10 years from now, probably, which is insane to say. We'll be 40 years old the next time we have the conversation of really looking back at Juan Soto's contract. But in terms of what he physically did last year for the Mets, really couldn't have asked for anything more. The Mets sucked. They didn't make the playoffs, but it was not Juan Soto's fault. He was unbelievable. Like you mentioned, top 3 in MVP voting. For me, this is a clear and obvious A. It was one of the best moves that was made last offseason. He was one of the best players in baseball.
Incredibly firm A. And we're happy to keep moving on year over year. We'll look back every time. I'm curious how far I know if we have to get away to stop giving this an A.
I mean, he's only, 27 next year? It's still going to be probably a good 5-6 years away before you start to feel any sort of decline.
God, the way he hit this, through the set. Basically, after the first 6 weeks when people were freaking out about him, he was one of the best hitters in baseball from that point through the end.
And we always joked. We loved that bad Juan Soto was 840 OPS.
Yeah. Oh, this guy can't hack it in New York anymore yet. He was still one of the 10 best hitters in the National League.
All right, moving on to another New York guy, this time from the Yankees. The second biggest contract signed last offseason, which is kind of crazy to say. 8 years, $218 million to Max Fried. James, what'd you think about this one?
I think at the time, it was something that kind of felt weird for the Yankees based on where their team's strengths were, and it seemed like their strengths were in the rotation. Then we figured out about Garrett Cole. This actually made a lot of sense. So you get a guy like Fried, you kind of sign that 1A to make sure you can sustain the loss of an ace. And Max Fried helped the Yankees do that a lot, but you kind of learn the limitations of a guy like Max Fried, who has always been a bit more of a regular season pitcher, doesn't have overpowering stuff, much more of a touch and feel starter. So while he's paid one of the highest paid starting pitchers in baseball, in terms of total value, it's only Yamamoto and Garrett Cole ahead of him. Max Fried isn't a top 5 pitcher. He's more like a top 12 pitcher, but that's still okay because you got to pay a premium on the market.
What'd you give him? A grade?
B?
Okay, I was leaning more towards A just because I think, again, down the line, maybe that contract won't be as great, but last year, given what Fried did for them in the regular season, you mentioned losing Garrett Cole, just being able to be that frontline guy for them the entire season. He had an ERA in the 2s, I believe. He didn't show up in the playoffs. That was the one smudge on Max Fried's entire 2025 season. But I think based on what I saw, I'm almost willing to give him an A. I think he had a great season. I don't think he's an ace, but for what he is and what the Yankees needed, he basically answered every question they had.
It's funny looking back now a year away from it to compare this contract to the one Dylan Cease just signed, which outwardly was a 7 for 210, but we know really was a 7 for 180 with all the deferrals. How much more do you want Fried than Dylan Cease?
Not that much more. I think as a contract, I weirdly liked it when they signed it, more so because I think it gave the Yankees just another good starting pitcher. You can't ever be mad when you sign a guy who is one of the better 2s in baseball. I don't think he's a 1, but I think he's one of the better 2s. And to go with Carlos Rodon and the rest of the young arms that they have there, I like the move. 8 years is a lot, but I don't know, between him and Dylan Cease, I think Fried is a little more consistent, but you probably just don't get the Cy Young ceiling that you get with Cease.
Yeah, that definitely is part of it. I mean, it's just funny. It's also the Yankees kind of realized that Rodon wasn't going to be the 1A. So it's instead of pretending that he's the solution there, let's just fix this problem as it exists right now. It's the Yankees don't sign Fried last year. They don't even get close to making the playoffs, honestly.
No, not even close. He helped this team, which is why I kind of went A with him.
Yeah, fair with that. I watched that playoff series and he wasn't able to do the things you paid him to do, so that's why he gets a B.
All right, Corbin Burnes, 6 years, $210 million, $35 mil a year AAV. This one was tough. Now, I think it's a little unfair to grade Corbin Burnes' contract based on 1 year, especially because that 1 year was a lost year, blew out his elbow, Tommy John surgery, missed the entire season essentially. And even when he wasn't really that sharp. But I think based on the 1 year that we have, it is an F. And I think if you're a Diamondbacks fan, based on what you saw with Eduardo Rodriguez and Jordan Montgomery, you're like, oh my God, do we just do this again? Even though Corbin Burnes is way better than those guys ever were.
Yeah, of course. It does suck to give a bad grade like that just for an injury. So I'll give the D just to give a little bit of a curve because you got mostly bad luck. Also, there's huge deferrals in this contract, like $10 million a year annually from ages 36 through 41 for Corbin Burnes. That pushes the luxury tax AAV down a bit. It pushes how much payroll cash they're giving him every year down a bit. It is just, if he's healthy this year, this team looks a lot different. If he's healthy the whole season, they probably make the playoffs again, and they probably are a bit of an intimidating out for some teams in the beginning of National League playoffs. So when I see the process being that good, I can't just give it a pure F.
Fair. I thought about it more in the sense of just the 2025 season. I think overall his contract is still going to be good. He's a very good pitcher. He's just got to be healthy. That's it.
It is funny, too, because he was the guy. I mean, him and Fried were the guys last offseason. We were like, you sign these guys for reliable starting pitchers. These guys never get hurt. They're always there. It's the best thing about them. But it's a good reminder, any starting pitcher can get hurt any single second of the day.
Blake Snell, 5 years, $182 million with the Los Angeles Dodgers. James, I think this one might be one of the easier ones to say. We're just going to give it an A, right?
I think I'm going to give it an A. It is funny, though, that in the World Series, it's one time they actually needed him and he did not show up.
Yes, the one time. But all the other times leading up to the World Series, he showed up, and in the regular season when he pitched, he was unbelievable. It's the Blake Snell experience. You're not going to get 180 innings out of him, almost any, but the innings that you do get are all going to be really good.
Yeah, and this contract is so much more important for a team like the Dodgers who really don't care about start-to-start consistency in the season. The only thing the Dodgers care about with Blake Snell is, like, September 1st, make sure you're healthy. Like, if you want to skip the season, if you get injured, ticky-tack stuff, just if you're all together, this contract I don't think would be an A if 29 other teams signed it.
No, the Dodgers win the World Series and Blake Snell being a big reason is why. But how many innings did he end up throwing last year? Like, it was probably, like 120, 130?
I think that even might be overselling it. He did the same thing he does a lot of times. So weirdly, when he signs the new contracts where Blake Snell just doesn't, 60 innings he threw, 60.
He only threw 60? What am I thinking?
He didn't pitch like the entire year until the end, but then he got so lights out hot at the end. Yeah, he didn't pitch between April 2nd and August 2nd. He took four months out.
Killed my fantasy team.
I mean, unless you were in a matchup-based league, he saved you at the end. He was dominant.
Blake Snell, but I still give it an A. Is that should it be maybe a B then? Because I thought he threw 100+ innings. He didn't come close.
I knew he didn't throw that, but again, just for what he did through the playoff run, just because, again, if that wasn't the Dodgers, if he signed with the Giants, if he signed with the Mets, even if he signed with the Phillies for that exact contract,
goddamn Dodgers,
and he had the exact season, I'd probably give it a D or a C. But just he was there for the Dodgers playoff run. That's exactly what he was there for.
Keeping it in the NL West, 3 in a row here. We've got Willy Adames, 7 years, $182 million to the San Francisco Giants. Crazy bad start to the year, got hot towards the end.
Yeah, I think that's a funny way to think about this contract because if we did this in July, I think we both could have given it an F. But the way Willy Adames ended the season, breaking the famed 30 home run drought in San Francisco, first guy since Barry Bonds hit 30 home runs as a Giant, which is one of the stupidest stats ever. You did still see a lot of the chinks in the armor, though, in his offensive profile that would have scared a lot of teams off anyway.
I think right now, based on the up and down of that season, I put him at a C. But I think that's a fair spot to put a guy who in a first year stepped up, but also had a huge stretch where he was pretty useless and really not helping the team win at all. Where I think this next year, if he continues on what he did in the second half, you're looking at a really good contract. Because I think $26 million a year for Willy Adames, who has a pretty good glove, clearly has a good bat, has good pop. That's something that the Giants desperately needed.
Totally. And shortstops just make a lot of money. Like, this contract compares very similarly to Dansby Swanson. These guys were about the same age when they signed. Willy Adames was a bit older. Willy's better hitter, more athletic. It's really not that bad looking back. Like, I'll still happily give this a B. Just kind of see how this thing ages.
Okay, that's me being a Giants hater, I guess, a little bit too here. Alex Bregman, 3 years, $120 million with the Red Sox. We know it ended up being a 1 year, $40 million because of the option. So let's think about it like that. 1 year, $40 million. Was it a good deal for the Red Sox?
It was an amazing deal for the Red Sox. Everything we heard about the Red Sox last year, especially between the start of the season with all of the turmoil with Rafael Devers, a lot of the turmoil was caused because they did sign Alex Bregman. Maybe that's neither here nor there. But when that ended and the team started playing well, all you heard about was how glued these young Red Sox players were to Alex Bregman every chance they could get. Between Marcelo Meyer, Roman Anthony, Christian Campbell, beginning of the year, it was at his hip. learning things, talking baseball, like that kind of leadership from a champion like Bregman. I know some people will say some of the championships are tainted, but it's kind of invaluable, especially for a young team like that. I think it helped the Red Sox a ton.
Yeah, he definitely was a positive for this team. I think prior to the injury, he was a clear and obvious A. After the injury, he really didn't hit nearly as well. I think he did a little bit more off the field for this Red Sox team than necessarily the impact on the field, which is why I give it a B rather than an A. I don't think he played to a $40 million value per se, but he was a great player for the Red Sox, and clearly they like him because they're trying to bring him back currently.
Yeah, because if you prorate to a whole season, he still only would have been on pace for like 26 homers and like the same 820 OPS that he's
Which
kind
is
of
why I go B.
Yeah, but also 1 year, who cares? Like the Red Sox have tons of money, like luxury tax is fine. Like I understand the B. I guess I'll agree with you on that one. I think give it a B, but it was really just a tale of two seasons. I'm curious about what he actually gets this time. I don't think I would have opted out if I was him.
I was shocked when he opted out. Just to briefly talk about that, like he's not getting close to 40 mil AAV. There's no way.
Maybe he gets like a 5-year deal. So maybe that's how it evens out.
Yeah, 5 for 30 as opposed to the next 2 for 40 a year.
5 like 20, 24 each maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. Seems like an interesting move. All right. Next up, Anthony Santander with the Toronto Blue Jays. 5 years, $92.5 million contract. I think the best way to describe this one is that the Blue Jays played their best baseball all year long when Anthony Santander was not on the roster. When he was hurt, that team started clicking. In the playoffs, the series that he played was like kind of the diciest one besides the World Series. And even then, when he didn't play in the World Series, it came down to the last inning.
Well, I'll also raise you this one. Who was the debated player for his roster spot in the World Series?
Who was the debated player for his roster spot?
Was it not IKF?
Oh.
Maybe should have been on the roster for that. Maybe should have been on the roster
Maybe should have been on the roster for that. I forgot about IKF.
This was a crazy contract when it happened because Santander is another guy who was like, I don't know which team's going to sign big money to the guy with under 300 career on base percentage. And this contract looked fat when it got signed, the 5 for 92, but there's so much deferred money in it that the Blue Jays are only giving him 14. He's only counting for $14 million a year against that luxury tax. That's like bench infielder level of money.
Yeah.
So like I can't even say it's that bad, but then you look at like the 4 more years they have left, you're like, that's just bad for a roster spot. Bad if you're a contending team that wants a better DH.
Yeah, especially because he can't play the outfield.
Can't play anything.
The Blue Jays are best when George Springer is DHing because you want to keep him healthy. So that means you're going to have to put Santander in the outfield. And if he's not hitting and playing that defense, he is a useless player.
No, that's where this contract, I'm going to give it an F because the value of it still isn't that bad. Like I'm sure he bounces back to hit okay, but the fact that the Blue Jays right now, based on everything you got to, how much better every player on your team got, and you're locked into 4 more years of Anthony Santander, who again, the over/under for his batting average for this on-base percentage those 4 years is 290. Like it's not a great place to be sitting.
They would love to have, I think, that money to spend a little bit more this offseason.
Or just
for
a
guy
spot.
who literally didn't do anything for them last year. Like imagine they just had $90 more million to spend this year.
And the money, I don't even think they care about because they're so damn rich. But it's just one of the 26 roster spots they'd love open.
Yes, so I'm with you. An F for him. Next up, Sean Manaea re-signing with the Mets 3 years, $75 million. Plain and simple, one of the worst contracts handed out in free agency last year. Me and you liked the sentimental value, the idea of Sean Manaea coming back, but then paying him $25 million a year and seeing what happened last year, all our biggest nightmares came to life.
Yeah, looking back, I wish I would have let my head speak more than my heart when this contract was signed by the Mets because the second it happened, my head was like, I don't think he's worth $25 million a year. And
you went,
yeah. You saw the patch this year. He was not healthy. He had some durability problems early in his career. Classic case of the guy making a drastic change in the middle of a season, lowering his arms out like he never did before. And you're like, wow, now his body hurts in the exact spot where that would happen. The lat, shoulder, all these things. And you saw, weirdly, the underlying stuff still be really good. Strikeouts, walks, swing and miss rates. But wow, the Sean Manaea get obliterated. Like this is like a bona fide F. And this was honestly one that got light consideration for the video we did 2 weeks ago about the worst contracts in baseball.
Yeah, if it was 4 for 100, it definitely would have. I think the fact that there's only 2 for 50 left, which again, oh my God, that hurts. But maybe because you clear up the bone chips in his elbow, maybe he's a 4 ERA pitcher next year.
I mean, I'd sign up so fast for 3.9 ERA over 160 innings. It's not even
what about
a question.
4.2?
Yeah, sure. If he can, I just give me the 180 innings. It's the only thing I want, 180 innings. But that really has only happened one time from Manaea in the last 5 years. So I'm reluctant to think that's going to happen again.
Yeah, I have to give it an F2 though. It's really bad. Go figure. Like David Stern spent money on guys that he typically wouldn't, and those were the worst contracts.
He actually had bigger workload over the last 5 years than I remember. The last year in Oakland, 180, 160 last year in San Diego, 120 the 1 year in San Francisco, 180 with the Mets. So it was 4 good years of workload before this one. So I take that back.
Nathan Eovaldi also re-signing back with the Rangers for 3 years, $75 million. He is a tale of two seasons, similar to, because when he pitched, he was arguably a Cy Young candidate in the American League. He had an ERA that started with 1. He was striking everybody out. He was pitching incredibly when he was healthy, and then he got hurt.
This is kind of like the poor man's Blake Snell. I think the deal reflects that, especially when you look at the Manaea deal against the Eovaldi deal. Like the Eovaldi deal, you're not getting volume, but you're getting elite. The Manaea deal, you were hoping to get volume and you were hoping to get slightly better than mid. I think looking back at that value proposition kind of feels like really stupid looking back a year.
But also, Eovaldi was never going anywhere else last offseason. He
100%.
signed with the Rangers pretty early on. So, I can't blame teams for not getting me no taxes. I think you can't give this one an A because of injuries, and I think that's going to be a part of Nathan Eovaldi's game. It seems like, seemingly for the rest of the time, he gets nicked and bruised all year long. But I'm very comfortable giving this a hard B. This was a good move, and if he was healthy all year, the Rangers might have made the playoffs.
Does that knock it down to a C then? Because maybe
how many innings did he give? I think he gave 140 innings, didn't he?
I think 113 was the final number.
Okay, if it's 113, I'm adding 50 innings to all these guys.
That'd be crazy if I remember that top of my head. I think he was right
I'm looking
there.
It up now. He gave the Rangers 130.
Okay, so yeah. But so I guess 130 is still plenty of innings. That probably was still in the top 100 of innings. But I wonder if the Rangers, looking back, were I wish we gave it to someone we know who could have gotten more volume because they wound up pitching whoever at times this year.
Yeah, it's a weird conversation to have because would you rather have the volume so you don't have to pitch, whoever the Rangers were at times, or would you rather just have 130 innings where you're we're winning the games when he's on the mound every time?
Which kind of seemed like it was the Rangers strategy, has been the Rangers strategy. Let's get Eovaldi.
It worked
Jacob
1 year.
DeGrom, Tyler Mahle, throw Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker back there. Just let's get the chaos rotation, see what happens. This year, just kind of a little too much chaos to handle, or not the offense to support that chaos.
So you're giving him a C, I'm giving him a B?
Nah, I'll go up to a B.
Tanner Scott, 4 years, $72 million. Now, me and you, when we saw this, because he was involved with the Mets, we were like, Dodgers take him. That's a bonkers contract. They obviously don't care about the money as much as other teams, but just conceptually, 4 for 72 to Tanner Scott was absolutely insane in the time that it was even signed.
No, I mean, right now, because Edwin Diaz doesn't have a contract, Tanner Scott's the second highest paid reliever in baseball, both by total value and average annual value. And I think that this makes me feel a little bit better about the Devin Williams contract that the Mets just signed too. But even with deferrals taking us down to $16 million a year, instantly, where everyone in the world was like, that's a crazy risk for the Dodgers to take.
Yeah, and he wasn't even on the playoff roster. He got hurt.
He sucked.
I don't think they would have put him on the roster if he was healthy based on how he pitched last year. He was a complete disaster. He went back to old Tanner Scott. Couldn't throw strikes, couldn't get anybody out.
I think too many people forgot that old Tanner Scott ever existed when this contract was signed. Tanner Scott was a guy that had a 16% walk rate 4 years ago. It's that doesn't just go away like that. Scott,
he kind of always still did walk guys a lot, even in the past prior 2 years.
No, for sure. But you always have such a tightrope to walk there. It's lefty, 97, great slider. It's just, it was always kind of a weird seesaw to kind of walk for Tanner Scott. So giving him a 4-year contract when he was already 30 years old was horrible business.
It feels like unless he became like Edwin Diaz, Josh Hader, this contract was always going to be bad. But especially now with him pitching poorly, this is, again, one of the easiest Fs of the entire video.
It's also cool to be the Dodgers, be we don't care how much value we get from this.
And they still won the World Series without one of their biggest signings making any sort of impact.
Again, the third highest paid reliever in baseball this year didn't show up to the World Series. They won it.
Who we got up next, James? Lead me in for this one.
Got Luis Severino, who signed a shocking 3-year, $67 million deal with the Athletics. And this was another one where it got signed. You were like, what the hell? But
yeah, a lot of Mets fans wanted him back. And then you saw that, you're like, never mind. It's okay. Enjoy Sacramento. To which Luis Severino, I'm not even sure, knew where he signed when he signed that contract. Because at the press conference when we went to the stadium, you saw the picture of him. He went oh my God, I'm pitching here.
And then by June, you start to get the reports kind of petering out that Luis Severino doesn't like pitching there, would prefer a trade. Also, he had a qualifying offer attached to him last year. The Mets got a comp pick for him. The Athletics blew through that. They gave up actual assets to sign him to this horrible contract. And he has, luckily he has a player option after the third year. But I mean, for the third year, one of the two of those, this is This always felt like a bad contract, and now it looks like a very bad contract.
What's funny is if they didn't play in Sacramento, it probably would be pretty good. His road numbers were great this year. I think he had an ERA in like the mid threes on the road. It's just at home, it started with like an 8, I think.
Do you think it's more about the park factor or just the uncomfortability that he had pitching in this ballpark?
I think both. I think everything. I think he's like, it's a fucking minor league stadium on top of the fact that if the ball gets hit in the air in the summer, it is 450 feet.
Yeah, to me, this contract's still a D because I think they were able to avoid a grievance specifically with this deal. So you got to spend that money at some point, John Fisher. But that's all we got.
Yeah, I'm willing to put this one at the F as well, but I'll be D to be nice because right now we got a lot of A's and Fs.
Yeah, not many C's, B's, and D's. But next up, another one that could fall in the middle: Teoscar Hernandez, 3 years, $66 million, but deferrals brought it down to $20 million AAV. Another one where it's just like, good job, Dodgers.
Yeah, I think that we're starting to see Teoscar now probably decline off of being that true, like awesome masher at the plate. He's always had the swing and miss issues. He's always had some of the plate discipline stuff going on. But last year, 738 OPS, sub 300 on base percentage, 103 OPS plus. I don't think he's that kind of player next season. I think, again, he's probably more of like a 110, 115 guy. But in terms of roster flexibility, for a guy who is a DH, it is crazy that they just run him out there in the outfield every single day.
I mean, we'd seen this coming with Teoscar for the last few years. Like, he has had these natural oscillations because there was so much swing and miss. And a guy like Teoscar, now that he was already 32, he's now going to be a little bit less athletic in the box, be able to get less power on the bad pitches that he's swinging at. Like, this seemed obvious. And again, 29 signed this contract. I might give them an F. But the Dodgers signing it, he played through the World Series. I'll give him a C.
Yep, I was thinking C as well. Like, he didn't hurt this team. He still accumulated positive value for this team. But I don't love the contract.
Yeah, especially now that team, the Dodgers are now going into the offseason being like, we got to figure out outfield. Like, that's not a good sign that you gave one guy $20 million AAV last year to play the outfield for you.
Yusei Kikuchi, keeping it in California in the LA area, signing a 3-year, $63.675 million contract with the Angels. This was great deal for Kikuchi. Get your money. He was really good with the Astros in that second half after he got traded, and I think he still did some really good stuff with the Angels last year. I think the K rate was still relatively high considering where it had been for his career, but this is one of those where good for the player. He pitched perfectly fine for the Angels. I don't understand why the Angels did this.
No, the strikeout rate actually went down a lot. It was the lowest of his entire
really?
career. Yeah,
I thought it went up at one point.
Since 2019, where it was rude that Yusei Kikuchi had to come into the league in 2019, go from a pretty dead offensive league in the MPB to what goes on in Major League Baseball, especially in 2019. But I understood the vision from their perspective, but he had a bad year. I mean, the WHIP was 1.4. Like, the strikeout rate was barely league average. Like, this was cool for the Angels again, but like,
he had a good first half though, right? Maybe that's what it was.
He did. But I think he threw tons of innings. Like, Yusei Kikuchi just ate up 1 million innings. Again, could have been good for a good team. Like, we just had the Sean Manaea conversation. 180 innings of Yusei Kikuchi last year, the 4 ERA. Mets make the playoffs, but that's I don't know. I guess I give this one a D because I don't see Yusei Kikuchi like bouncing back meaningfully.
I'll give him a C. First half for Kikuchi, 3.11 ERA in 113 innings. Second half, 5.5 ERA. He got absolutely demolished in the second half. And that's when the K rate truly plummeted. He had 59 strikeouts and 65 innings in the second half, as opposed to about being a 1 K per 9 guy in the first half.
Yeah, but that's kind of what you kind of run the risk with Yusei Kikuchi, especially the Angels being like, oh, Yusei Kikuchi went to an organization to help to make adjustments. Let's sign him. No, we don't need any more adjustments. He made the adjustment. Perfect.
Yeah, I give him a C. You gave him a D. I think either way, the Angels they almost never sign a good contract now. So
no. Next up, another I would say one of the worst contracts signed last offseason. Christian Walker to the Astros for 3 years, $60 million.
Yeah, so I think it has to be an F. But my hot take is going to be that I think he does bounce back in 2026. I think we see him probably hit close to 30 home runs. I think we see that OPS get closer to 800, maybe even start with an 8. I don't think he'll ever be the hitter that he was with the Diamondbacks because he's going to be 35 years old, but I don't see him being a sub 300 on base guy last year. And he still plays good defense at first. Maybe the Astros to stop handing out $20 million a year to 35-year-old first baseman.
That's kind of been my company line in this contract too. It felt that way, especially because similar like we've talked about Gunnar Henderson, some other videos, Christian Walker got an oblique injury in spring training, exactly the same as Gunnar, missed a lot of camp, came back. It just never felt like he got his sea legs under him. But I think Christian Walker, like the mega pull mentality with all the swing and miss as he's getting older now, like it's 34-year-old Christian Walker just selling out for the pull side as the bat speed's still really good, but assumedly getting worse. The bat to ball ability is getting worse. Like this, the profile is much more shaky than I would have thought this time last year.
Yeah, and I think that it's crazy the Astros did it again. Groundhog's Day. Like, they went Jose Abreu, it didn't work. They're like, surely this other old guy who never hit as well as Jose Abreu did in Jose Abreu's prime is going to be working out, and it didn't work out again.
Yeah, like, do you guys have another 34-year-old first baseman to sign? No, after this
And
Pete Alonso contract, watch where he goes.
I was about to say, like, Pete Alonso was there, and they could have done a creative contract with Pete. It would have cost a little more AAV, but probably make the playoffs if you're the Astros if you have Pete Alonso over Christian Walker.
I do think, and a lot of these free agents that we're talking about right now had qualifying offers attached to them. I think that some teams are so afraid of that qualifying offer that it's kind of
Christian
crazy.
Walker did.
Exactly. Hey, it's true. Actually, I forgot he did. And well, even like Bregman, basically signing a 1-year deal with a qualifying offer is really kind of crazy looking back. Maybe that should have affected the grade there, but those things really affect the way these teams go about free agency. And I wonder how big of a part of the next CBA they are.
Yeah, we'll see. Because it definitely hurts the players, but also helps them sometimes. I don't know. It's a weird back and forth with the QL.
I don't think it helps the players at all. I think it's like one of the worst things the players have.
What about Nick Martinez getting paid $20 million last year? That helped him out big time.
Yeah, that was a miracle for like one individual player. But think about all these guys, Marcus, that were like, 3 for 60.
Trent Grisham got 22 this year.
Yeah, for those players, the 1-year deals, it helps. 1-year deals, like, I don't think teams ever really care about the 1-year deal.
Yeah, it's fair.
It helps the cash in their pockets. Next up, one of my favorites, probably the best contract signed last offseason, Nick Pivetta.
Yeah, Nick Pivetta definitely gets a fat A.
5 years, $55 million. What a really weird contract. For last year, he only got paid $4 million by the Padres, up to $20 million this year. 2 opt-outs available. It's the hardest A of the books. This guy was one of the best pitchers in the National League last year. He kind of carried a very injured Padres rotation. Just a beast, truthfully.
Yeah. 180 innings, sub-1 whip is disgusting. ERA at 2.87. James has been banging the Nick Pivetta drum since I've known him. We're going on 6-7 years now of Nick Pivetta breakout, Nick Pivetta breakout, Nick Pivetta breakout. And it happened, James. How does it feel? How's it feel to be on the right side of this one?
Oh, incredible. I mean, it's not wrong just early. And all it ever took for Nick Pivetta to break out was to get to a ballpark where it was really hard to hit home runs, where he'd been stuck in Citizens Bank and then Fenway for the last couple of seasons.
And even still gave up a ton of home runs.
But still not the same level of home runs that we saw in years past. Because just great fastball, curveball, sweeper, anything you want, Nick Pivetta's got it.
So you're giving him an A?
Hardest A, A+.
Pete Alonso, 2 years, $54 million, opted out, so it became a 1-year deal. I mean, Pete was great last year for the Mets. He was awesome. He absolutely mashed. His defense is putrid. But I'll be honest, for a guy like Pete, like I don't particularly care about the defense when you put up the offensive numbers that he does.
I still care about it a little bit because of how bad the Mets defense was last year, but just a little bit compared to the offense. I think we're in a spot right now where this offseason, Pete Alonso's become like the most underrated free agent that's out there, truthfully speaking, because he's only 30. I think people are acting like he's 35 because he's like a little bit heftier. Like we just saw Kyle Schwarber, ages 30, 31, 32, be the best power hitter in the league. I don't think there's any reason that Pete Alonso can't be that based on where his bat speed's starting out at.
Especially because he made changes this year and started to pull the ball more, started to put it in the air more. Like
pulled it less this year.
Oh, did he? I thought he pulled the ball more in the air this year.
He may be more in the air, but definitely pulled it less often in general.
Okay. But I do believe that most of his power was onto the pull side this year.
Yeah, it was basically the same as last year, pull air rate.
Okay. But regardless, Pete did make some changes this year. We knew that he went to an outside hitting guy because you couldn't trust the Mets hitting people at the time. And he
didn't have a
mashed.
contract. Yeah.
So, I would give Pete an A. What are you giving Pete?
Definitely an A. Also cool that Pete Alonso last year was the highest paid first baseman in baseball at $30 million. I think that was a cool little wrinkle that he wanted if he was going to sign a short-term deal, and he got that, and he mashed.
I'm happy to do it again.
Yeah, we'll run the whole thing back, baby.
Tyler O'Neill, 3 years, $49.5 million. This has been a conversation that we've had a lot already in this episode. Saw the contract at the time, and I'm like, really?
Why?
The Orioles? Like, why? Like, you have that insane left field. Tyler O'Neill, pull guy. Doesn't really seem to make sense to get a power-hitting right-handed bat who also gets hurt every single season, never plays a full year, and pay him when you clearly have other needs on this roster.
But also impressive by the Orioles to understand how bad of a mistake they made with Tyler O'Neill, and this year go out and get Taylor Ward. Just the fact it cost him Grayson Rodriguez, I think internally they were done with him, but they're like, we know this guy Tyler O'Neill probably can't be relied upon to be a starting baseball player. Despite us,
I'm not giving him credit for that. Fuck that. You made a stupid decision.
I'm giving him credit now, looking back, the fact that they didn't double down on a mistake.
Still an F.
Oh yeah, this contract's still a bona fide F, and it felt like that at the time. Tyler O'Neill also could show up this year, just be healthy, and hit 35 homers for sure.
Sure, could, yeah.
Yeah, but that's just he's an erratic baseball player, and they paid him a little more than what an erratic baseball player I think should get.
Also feels really hard in that ballpark now with that left field. It's still so insane out there.
It is. I mean, they moved it back in a little bit, but still.
Jurickson Profar, 3 years, $42 million. He actually had a really good season when he played. The problem was that he didn't play much because, bang, immediately popped for steroids once he signed that contract.
And, like, I wonder how bad the Braves were in the first half and how the fact they were, like, decent in the second half, like, maybe just having a guy like this to steady the top of their order when they were really inconsistent, shockingly inconsistent hitting last year. I just probably wish they would have had the guy they tried to sign.
Yeah, like at the end of the year, you look at his numbers, and he finished with like a pretty decent OPS. He didn't play again very many games, but like at the end of the day, if you put that over for a full season with Jurickson Profar, you would have said it's a pretty decent contract, and for what they're paying him, comes out to what, like $14 million a year. Felt like a good contract.
Yeah, I think the best isolated slugging of his career as well, like the just best power output he had. So I wonder if the steroids just like hadn't worn off yet. But I'm curious about where Jurickson Profar lines up back this year.
I will say I'm giving it a C. I can't give it a positive grade because he still missed half a season because he was cheating. But
I'm giving it an F because he was cheating. I still don't know what we get from Jurickson Profar this year.
Fair. All right. You know what? Fuck him. F. Put him in the F too.
All right. Next up, Clay Holmes, 3 years, $38 million, under 13 mil AAV. This was one of the sneaky best contracts signed last offseason.
Do you hear the clacking, James? Because I already know the keyboard warriors are calling us Mets homers because of the Mets logo behind me and the Mets picture behind you. But yeah, this was one of the best pitching signings last offseason. You signed Clay Holmes to a $13 million a year deal, and he gave you 170 innings of 3.5, 3.6 ERA. That's ridiculous from converting a reliever to a starting pitcher in a season. That's phenomenal. Seth Lugo was getting like heaps of praise when he did this.
No, also, literally, I got it to come in a Fangraphs right now. Clay Holmes threw the 46th most innings in Major League Baseball. That's ridiculous. Only 45 pitchers.
Made every start.
Literally threw more innings than Clay Holmes. He made 33 appearances, 31 starts, 3.5 ERA. Just in a year where everything went wrong for the Mets, this went so right that it got overlooked, it got overshadowed by a disaster. But coming to the rotation, figuring out the kick change, like maintaining decent velocity, like mixing in fastball, still having the sinker and the sweeper. It was awesome to watch Clay Holmes like figure things out as a starting pitcher. And at times it was definitely ugly. There were some games where like this guy can't throw a strike and we're just praying for a ground ball in the right spot for a bad defense. But in terms of the process and the results, like this is as good as it gets.
All things considered, how bad the Mets defense was for him to have a 3.5 ERA is kind of a miracle. And he was giving up home runs.
Like he was making less money last year than like some relievers.
Than Tanner Scott.
Ryan Helsley just signed for a higher AAV than Clay Holmes. Like that was the other thing about this Clay Holmes contract. You're like, the starting thing's disaster. He just goes back to the bullpen for $13 million a year. It's not that bad. Really isn't that bad.
Do you think there's ever a world the Mets moving back to the bullpen still?
I mean, let's see how these next few weeks go, I guess. But I think I actually think there kind of is a chance. But I think it was just too good as a starter to go back to the bullpen. Honest to God.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I like him as a starter. 3.5 ERA, 170 innings. Mets fans were clamoring for innings. Last year, he gave you innings.
Yeah, I don't think he deserved 3.5 ERA either. I think Clay Holmes is due for some regression unless he makes some skill growth, some skill jumps this year. But
surely he's going to get more comfortable starting. I won't say better, but more comfortable.
I also know that he's going to want to be starting very badly because he has the opt-out after the season.
So if he keeps pitching well, he's going to get actually paid decently when he hits free agency.
But still an A for me because he gave 165 innings at 3.5.
Yeah, it's an A. $13 million a year for that as a starting pitcher. It's almost impossible to get value like that at that cheap.
Mm-hmm. Next up, Jeff Hoffman.
Similar we're skipping
deal.
Jock?
Oh, I was skipping Jock.
Okay, well, Jock's an F, right? We'll just quickly say Jock's an F.
There was almost nothing to talk about with Jock Peterson. Jeff Hoffman, 3 years, $33 million with big bonuses in his contract. Remember people were talking about him starting? Yeah. $500,000 each for 60, 70, 80, and 90 innings. And he got that first 500 this year for 60 innings. But so there was up to him getting $2 million extra dollars a year if he was going to get to 90 innings per season on this contract. But this is going to be a weird one to grade. I might caution all of the Blue Jays fans to maybe just like skip ahead for a little bit because I don't know. He had a really shaky regular season, and then he looked really good, and then the moment it mattered most, he failed you again.
Yeah, he is someone who I think, the rumors of the Blue Jays being interested in Edwin Diaz and the big relievers, I think you know why. It's hard to feel comfortable with Jeff Hoffman being your closer. He's a better 8th inning guy. He's an electric 7th inning guy. I don't feel good with him being a 9th inning guy.
He's also paid in the same range as guys like AJ Minter on an AAV basis. AJ Minter, Carlos Estevez, like Blake Trinan. Like these aren't the guys who were like brought in to be the big back end closers. And it felt like Hoffman could have gotten that. It seemed like some of the medical stuff with him was weird, and the season wound up being weird. So you don't have to. That's why I still kind of give this contract a C because it's a fine contract for what he provided, but he was never meant to be a lockdown closer.
I think Blue Jays fans might be mad at him for being so nice because I was going to go in the C range too, where I'm like, I just need to see a little bit more before I feel either type of way. Again, like you can look at the big moment that he choked, but like also like I don't know, man, it's tough.
Yeah, it's, again, sometimes you throw a bad pitch to Miguel Rojas. You can't really do anything about that.
Do we talk about Jack Flaherty? Just to keep it up.
I skipped him, Jack Flaherty. I mean, wow, what a guy that they wish could have stayed this rotation, who just failed once again as he continues to just pitch poorly every single time he gets these shots. $25 million in the books last year too. Just a rough deal, and one that everyone looked around the league like, why is anyone signing Jack Flaherty? Oh, I know
tell you why.
Guy's turbo dog shit. He can't pitch.
Turbo mega dog shit.
Turbo mega dog shit. I mean, just again,
poor Jack Flaherty. He catches strays almost every video on this channel.
I like Jack Flaherty as a guy, but as a pitcher, I can never see the vision as the velocity keeps falling and he gets less and less consistent with those breaking balls.
Your hater attitude does come from the fact that there are people in the baseball community who are just constantly like Jack Flaherty this, Jack Flaherty that. He's this guy, he's that guy. He's almost never been him besides that second half of that one season.
And he had a good season 2024. I can't say he didn't. He struck out guys. He didn't walk many. Like that was one where I took it on the chin and respected Jack Flaherty. But last year he was terrible. There was no semblance of consistency. And a Tigers team that almost had one of the most catastrophic collapses in Major League history. If he could have just, showed up and a little more consistent, you really could have staved that off. Lucky they did.
The only reason they didn't is because of the modern wild card. If they had the old wild card, they'd really make the 2007 Mets look like nothing.
And again, I'm curious how Jack Flaherty navigates out of this, because it was with great pitching, internal pitching development, and one of the best pitchers parks in the league against one of the easiest schedules, and he still sucked.
Yeah, still stunk it up. That's an F.
I'll give him a D for the 2-year deal, but still, geez.
Frankie Montas,
F.
Horrible. Gotta be the worst signing last year. I think there's no doubt about that, right?
I mean, I guess him and Manaea combined.
Yeah.
Severino. A lot of guys who were attached to the Mets at some point.
Is there anybody else to talk about here in free agency?
I think Matthew Boyd, 2 years, $29 million to the Cubs. I think that was one of the most shrewd, sneaky signings. It was a lot to trust Matthew Boyd after the crazy injuries and inconsistencies he dealt with over the last few years. But he had that great second half with the Guardians. Not even second half. He had 3-star September.
35 innings.
And then made the start in the playoffs with the Guardians 2 years ago. And the Cubs trusted that, and they went with it. And Matthew Boyd was a down ballot Cy Young guy this year. He was a big reason the Cubs just consistency and getting to the postseason.
Yeah, he's one that I give an A because the value is phenomenal.
100%.
And I think he's a great pitcher. 180 innings for the money they paid him. Ridiculously good. The issue is he again is not a frontline starter. And I think he got treated like a frontline starter for the Cubs at the end of the year, and that was one of their problems.
No, for sure. I mean, these aren't the same pitchers in any way, shape, or form, but it's not that dissimilar from the Max Fried conundrum where
yes.
If you it's kind of hard to show up to the playoffs throw at 92, 93. From the left side, it's fine because that's basically average velocity for those guys, but it's a different game. We know that, and you get there, and it's just I don't know. Matthew Boyd, the fact that he didn't go into the one time, no, he didn't go. He didn't finish the fifth inning in any of his playoff starts.
No,
that's kind of rough. And I know there were some errors, and they got roughed up in that first game against the Brewers.
We'll say, just looking back at some of these contracts, I'm going to read through a bunch of them. A lot of the 1-year deals ended up being pretty putrid and horrible that you saw towards the back end of this. Walker Buehler, one of the worst deals of the offseason, 1 year, $21 million. He absolutely stunk it up. Max Scherzer was hurt a lot. Justin Verlander was hurt, not very good. Charlie Morton getting $15 million a year was criminal by the Orioles.
Yeah.
He was horrendous. Kirby Yates was hurt all year. Paul Goldschmidt stunk it up for the Yankees. There was a lot of really bad 1-year contracts last year.
I feel like there probably always are, right? Did you even mention Alex Cobb?
I forgot about Alex Cobb.
Yeah, the Tigers paid him real American dollars. They paid him paid him $15 million to not pitch
currency.
Last year. Yeah, and again, it's a shame for for Alex Cobb because he wanted to come back and pitch, but just
Michael Conforto
one was bad. I mean, Jose Leclerc for $10 million, he got hurt, but it's Michael Soroka. I guess the Nationals got an asset for him, but this is a strange place to shop in free agency. But then
one of the best moves.
What?
Gleyber Torres, 1 year, $15 million.
I was going to say, there are many diamonds in the rough in this range because you got Gleyber, Kenley Jansen, Jorge Polanco for $7.5 million last year.
Aroldis Chapman was sick.
It's a very funny place to shop in this bargain bin because it's so hit or miss.
Harrison Bader was awesome. 1 year, $6 million. That was one of the best contracts that you could have gotten last offseason.
Ramon Laureano, 1 year, $4 million for the Orioles was incredible bet.
Griffin Canning for $4 million gave the Mets 90 great innings last season.
I mean, Jose Quintana pitched another complete season for $4 million. So again, there's ways to kind of filter your way through here. Daniel Coulomb for $3 million.
That's your boy.
That's my guy. One of the best. Tim Hill, $3 million. Two of the best lefty relievers in baseball. Caleb Thielbar, same. One for $2.5 million. Like these, it's a kind of, we want to do this exercise right now because the contracts are starting to fly off, and like some people are kind of like having fun in free agency. Some people feel left out. When you look back, it looks a lot different 1 year later. And sometimes you do the bargain play, it works. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you do the big money, it works. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the middle works. Sometimes it doesn't. It's just, we're not going to know.
Yeah, we'd love to know your guys' opinions on these moves down in the comment section below. Let us know your favorite and least favorite move of last offseason. Don't forget to subscribe to the Windup for more baseball content. Giveaway at 10,000 subscribers. We do appreciate you. You can follow James on social media at
James Shiano.
I'm Draft Nick Mark. Thank you guys for watching. We'll catch you all on the next one. Peace out.